The Little Pub on the Edge of Hell. A story written by Phil Humer. I had called my pub Bullseye because I was optimistic about it, but so far it had been a shot in the arm. I had been able to buy it super cheap. There had been incidents in this pub, something sinister. Supposedly a curse was on it, and it was said to be a portal to the underworld. Okay, occasionally I had horned guests, but I thought it was a mutation. They paid well and disappeared in a cloud of mist. That should have given me pause for thought, but you don't want to be indiscreet. I also deliberately overlooked the fact that some of them had a horse's foot. I mean, on closer inspection, almost everything in life has a horse's foot. I wanted my pub to be a success. However, I was worried about this oddball with the sickle. He would linger for hours over a beer, hardly any tips for my staff, stingy, taciturn. Once I hid his scythe for fun, it was a fuss. He couldn't get his head around it. He went off the deep end. Don't freak out like that. But he couldn't be stopped. On this occasion, it turned out that he was actually a skeleton. The skin only seemed to be hanging over it for decorative purposes. Totally disgusting, was all I said. I wasn't sure how he kept his beer. It doesn't matter. I acted jovial. Being able to overlook the idiosyncrasies of my fellow human beings is one of my strengths. I congratulated myself inwardly. My satisfied expression seemed to surprise him. People are usually more shocked, he croaked. What did he expect? It's okay. You don't have to conform to the norm. So much tolerance knocked him for 6. Or was it my employee's broom that was beating him like a fury? She was fucking panicked. Katie, I said to her, don't bother our guest with the broom. She took the spade instead. No better. What had gotten into her? Some of the horned gentlemen applauded and jeered. You do realize that this is a portal to hell? One of them wanted to know. I don't give a damn about clues, I replied. I didn't want to lose the rest of my guests. I'd rather pretend everything was going well. I'd already blown so many chances I didn't want to mess it up this time. If you tell yourself it's a stroke of luck, then so be it. I think you bet on the wrong horse, said a horse-footed man. Come on, portals are like train stations. Through traffic, there's something going on, it's busy, people are drinking, laughing. Well, we don't generally laugh here. There's torture on the one hand and purgatory on the other. Not much fun at all. But you're not so grumpy. You seem to like the pub, I objected. Katie didn't bother arguing. She went after all kinds of guests with her scythe. The first bets were placed. Good idea. Combine that with a betting shop. I'm Death, announced the scytheless guy. Jim, one of my employees, caught him with the baseball bat. Not a bad hit. I love bar fights. Probably the main reason I tried this pub. Its nasty reputation suited me. I was always far too bourgeois. Here was a fantastic opportunity to leave bourgeois values behind. A sense of freedom flowed through me. Katie threw me the scythe. Death hurried after her. Amazing. We were about to trick him. The devils jeered. By now I realized that they must be officials from hell who wanted to spend their evening here. Blitzmerker. My subconscious said mockingly. Yes, the things you suppress for the sake of your income. The things you put up with. Free beer for everyone, I shouted to lift the mood, which was starting to sink a little. But now it's scythe time, shouted Death. We laughed heartily because he just couldn't get the scythe out of Katie's hand. She was as quick as a weasel. She threw it back over to me. We hadn't had this much fun for a long time. Don't be like that. It's not like Poseidon and his trident. A scythe like that is interchangeable. It doesn't even look like anything special, I mocked. That was too much for him. He jumped down my throat. Bony fingers. Yuck. I gave him a headbutt that really did the trick. He staggered. I was actually wrestling with Death. Never imagined it would be so funny. Katie was cheering me on. She had placed bets on me. I couldn't let her down. Wham! I landed a direct hit, right between his ribs. My hand was stuck. This was mainly a fight against disgust. Wouldn't it be better if you had something on your bones? I asked him. He shrugged his shoulders. I've been walking around like this for ages. Are there any alternatives? Of course there are. I pretended to be fully competent. I Googled. Google let me down. I was at a loss for an answer. Todd comforted me. You can't know everything. I only have my job horizon. I see everything in terms of my job. I evaluate everything from there. My work equipment is not far from me, yet I'm suddenly beside myself. I question myself. I was just an obedient servant, committed to life, a scavenger. He looked very unhappy. I poured him a glass of bubbly. Have a good time. As a personality, you're a bullseye. You have to stand by yourself. Find yourself. Well-intentioned advice. He glanced at his scythe. Nothing makes sense. Damn, now I'd made Todd gloomy, a mishap that those from the other faction would probably not forgive me for, those with their harps, their perfection. Jim was playing scat with two devils. I'd asked him to be sociable. Katie was persuaded to play a game of pool with a couple of nippy devils. Over the course of the next week, it became a popular place. Word got around that it was a great place to relax. Todd was also much more relaxed. We had good conversations. All in all, it was a real hit, a good choice on my part. Or had fate ordered me to go there to balance things out? You can talk yourself into all sorts of things, convince yourself that you're doing exactly the right thing right now. Even harp music wasn't frowned upon. We occasionally had guests from other areas who strayed here, whether out of curiosity or because they wanted to reorient themselves professionally. Okay, this isn't Cloud 9, not even Cloud 3.5, but it's a fun place to be. Sometimes I provoke fights. I run a betting office on the side. The money rolls in. Some harps have been broken in the process, but they miraculously come together again. Everything heals. Death can't even look at it. It really dislikes it. I want afflictions, suffering, adversity. Then he flies off the handle again. Too much harmony is poison for him. Poor guy.